The internet has been on fire for the last 24 hours. So many things are happening and videos being passed around. And I'm sure that many of you who are going to tune into this video have seen or heard about the video with the pastor in Texas, Pastor David Wilson. And so it's going around, making its rounds around social media. Everyone's having a laugh at it and talking about it. And so it's something that I wanted to discuss because it opens us up to a conversation that needs to be had. A conversation that deals with the church, sex, and infidelity. So many of these stories are popping up. So many people are being put on blast and things are happening to where people are being caught cheating. And so we need to talk about this, especially in the church, because the church and people of God are supposed to be a people in a place where this sort of thing is not supposed to happen often. But we know that it's happening, and we know that it's happening around our churches. We know that sex is an issue. It's a big issue. Fornication, adultery. And so these sort of things we can't sweep under the rug, but we need to talk about. We need to have an honest conversation about these topics, or else it's going to keep on going on. We're going to keep on having these stories and things pop up just as these scandals happening. And most importantly, we're going to have marriages continually being destroyed. Because at the end of the day, marriage is one of the most honorable institutions of God. Matter of fact, it is the first institution of God. And everything comes from that. Family comes from marriage. Community comes from marriage. Society, nations, it all stems from marriage, from people coming together and connecting. And so, we got to talk about this, folks. We got to talk about this, saints, even in the church. And I know sex is a taboo topic. It's something that we shy away from. We see it at Pursue, on the Pursue platform, which is the largest Black Christian singles platform in the world. And we try to have these honest conversations at Pursue amongst the singles. And so we don't want to sweep these under the rug, because these are issues we have to deal with so that we can begin to have healthier marriages, so that we can have marriages that are satisfying, long lasting. It's one thing to be in a marriage, and it's another thing to be in a marriage and be unhappy. And so you ought to be happy in a marriage. You ought to be satisfied in every area of your life, including sex, including intimacy. And so this conversation is important. It begs the question, first, why do we cheat? Why do men cheat? Why do women cheat? Why do we as human beings not honor the sanctity of marriage, the sanctity of a relationship, and uphold it in being, faithful in it, having fidelity? And so with this video with Pastor Wilson, the advent of the video, it begs the question, how do we get back to having marriages that are faithful, sustainable, and long-lasting? Because I'm going to tell you, the problem is that people get hurt. When there's infidelity, people get hurt. No doubt his church is hurt. No doubt he's hurt, probably. I don't know him. The people involved are hurt. And then, most importantly, his wife is hurt. His family may be hurt. And so this is important to deal with so that we don't hurt the people that we love. One thing I do know is that love does not seek to hurt intentionally. Love doesn't seek to hurt intentionally. And so if you are married to somebody, it calls for us to be faithful to them and not to hurt them, not to abuse them. Love doesn't tear down, but it lifts up. And so someone has to think about that, even in terms of their own fidelity and infidelity, is that before they engage in that act, who am I going to hurt? Who am I going to hurt? You have to ask yourself that. And so we have to have this conversation, because we have to stop and think about these things, because we are destroying our churches. We're destroying our families. We are destroying our communities. And so it's important for us to keep the fidelity in our marriages and in our relationships so that we could continue to grow. We know that divorce is on the rise. We know that in the church, over 50% of people get divorced. And there are many reasons for that. Infidelity, money, finances, high high expectations that aren't fulfilled. And so there are a number of reasons why divorces are high and relationships aren't working and making it down the stretch like they used to years ago. And then truthfully, even in prior relationships years ago, there was also a high rate of infidelity and cheating going on. It's just that people didn't talk about it. Today, we could talk about it. Today, it's highly exposed, with cell phones, smartphones, and videos at our fingertips. It's easier to expose these things versus years ago. And so how did we get here at this point where we have so many people getting caught up in cheating scandals, so many people unhappy in their marriages, unfulfilled? How did we get to this point? There are a lot of things that contributed to it. Social media, something within our own selves, a highly sexualized society. When you look at movies and music, our images, pornography, the computer, the internet, we get so much highly sexualized content thrown at us. We're in the age of the IG, Instagram model, Facebook models. And so our world has changed. Men are driven by what they see, and women by what they feel. A man could remember what a woman wore, what she looked like. Whereas a woman, she'll remember how a man made her feel. And so we're driven by images that we see. We're driven, by that desire to fulfill something within us when we see something we like, something that we're attracted to. And the key thing is not to get caught up in it, not to allow that thing to control us. We have to exercise self-control, discipline, or else you'll always fall prey to the temptation and the trap. Your love for the person that you're with, your wife, has to be greater than your desire for something else. It's important that your love for that person and your willingness not to want to hurt them has to supersede your own selfish desire to fulfill something that you want. And so many times we allow our selfish desires to overtake us and overcome us. And that's why we hurt the people we love. Yes, there are going to always be beautiful women. Yes, there are going to always be beautiful men, in terms of women who are attracted to men. Women will always find men attractive and men will always find women attractive. As long as you have two eyes and this body, you're going to find other people attractive. But what do you do with that attraction? Do you feed it? And do you feed into it and allow you to go down a dangerous road? Or do you control it? Do you bring it under subjection and say that what I have is worth more than what I could lose? And so this thing is so big, and we won't ever solve this big problem and answer as long as there's human beings, on this earth. This will be a problem and an issue that we always contend with at the church, but we have to begin to address it. We have to get connected to people in marriage who we like. That's another thing. We have to connect with people who fulfill us and satisfy us, not only spiritually, because so many times in the church, we connect with people who only satisfy parts of us. Because we're in the church and we're Christians, we look for someone who can satisfy us in that spiritual manner. Oh, she's saved and she can sing well. Or he's saved and he can preach well. Or, they sing or they minister under the anointing. Or they're so anointed. That sounds very good. That sounds great. But if that's all they can be to you and for you, then you're going down a path that is destined to fail. You ought to connect to people who make you happy in and out of church. You ought to connect to people who fulfill you in everyday life, who satisfy you. Someone who makes you smile, someone who you like, someone who you enjoy just being around. So many times we're so deep when it comes to relationships and marriages that we overlook the small things that will make it last. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, look, you could be so heavily minded that you're no earthly good. And sometimes we're so deep when it comes to connecting with someone and finding our mate that we miss the fact of just getting to know them. Likes, dislikes. Not overhyping it, over spiritualizing it, but just in a practical manner, getting to know somebody the right way, taking our time, seeing if we fit and are compatible. You have to connect with someone that's compatible with you in every area, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, financially, and yes, intimately. Or else we're going to keep on having these stories of the Pastor Wilsons and others. We're going to continue giving in to an overly sexualized culture, and we're going to always fall prey to our inhibitions to cheat and be unfaithful. It's important that we get it right. Generations are counting on us. Children are looking up to us. And we got to keep our families together. And we have to do it right. We're all human. We make mistakes. But there are some mistakes that you have to keep at bay. And there's some mistakes that you cannot keep making, or else it's more than a mistake. It becomes a pattern. So marry someone that you love. Marry someone that you're attracted to. Marry someone that you can see yourself with years from now down the road being happy with. And you have to work together. That's another thing, is that you continually have to work together to satisfy each other and to be happy with each other. It takes both parties, both men and women, in a marriage to make it work for the long term. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And so I hate to see stories like this. I hate to see things like this happening. So many are getting caught up. And we ourselves have to be humble as well, lest we get caught up. We have to remember, don't forget, don't throw stones and laugh at the next person when they fall, because it could very well be you. If it was not for the grace of God, it could very well be one of us. And so my heart goes out, to those who have been hurt by this. And, I pray for them. But, in terms of the Pursue platform, we want to have these conversations about why is cheating at an all-time high. And how can we bring fidelity back? How can we bring faithfulness back to our marriages, to our relationships? Because that's what's going to keep us together. Loyalty is a key thing in a relationship. And we have to be loyal to each other and not hurt one another. And so let's have the conversation. We're going to continue to have it at Pursue. And I invite you, if you're not a member of Pursue, join us. We're on Facebook. Pursue Black Christian Singles and Professionals. And we have these conversations and others on Facebook, in our Facebook group. With we have over 36,000 members right now, currently. On Instagram, we have these conversations. Join us on Instagram at Pursue Dating. At Pursue Dating. Also on Twitter at Pursue Dating. And join us. We have a dating app where we make connections every single day. And our dating app, go to our website, pursuedating.com. Pursuedating.com. And we'll put this information down in the description. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. We want to have these conversations and more. We can't sweep it under the rug no longer. We have to talk about this. We have to work these things out so that people don't get caught up and hurt. God bless you all. Continue to have the conversation in a healthy way. God bless you.